Hi everyone! Today we're going to be looking at taking this black beauty and refinishing it and relicking it to make it this golden goddess. Straight off the bat, I want to put in this disclaimer. If you don't like relic guitars, then this video really isn't for you. What I'm taking today is an old Japanese Squire. It's about 20 years old. It's not one of the ones that's particularly sought after. In one of my previous videos I actually looked at the components and I wasn't particularly impressed with it, so as far as I'm concerned I'm not really committing any guitar crime here by taking this and refinishing it. You might think differently, but my intention is to take a black Squire and do an overlay refinish on it in gold, and then do a relic job to reveal some of the black on the underneath. So that might be absolutely not up your street in terms of what you'd like to do, which is absolutely fine. It's just more of an experiment for me and also for you to see the process of that in case you are thinking about it, or in case you just find it something that's a little bit interesting. So I'm going to take you through step by step of what I'm doing along the way, and then we'll have a good look at the final result.
So usually you'd want to remove all of the paint, but because I'm wanting to do a custom shop kind of job on this, then I'm not too bothered. I want some of these black bits to show through when I do the final sand, and I want some of the wood to show through as well. As you can see on the back, I've done a lot less sanding, so I'm wanting just these little bits to kind of show through. Not all of this, it'll just be tiny little spots here and there. So I'm now ready for the first coat of the gold. I've left it in some hot water just to get the paint nice and loose. So I'm using a nitrocellulose from Northwest Guitars, which I've used before, not this particular colour, but I've used it before on my blue Strat, so I know that it's going to be good stuff. So here goes the first coat. So that's really interesting. It's just kind of giving it a glittery kind of overtone, which is really strange. So the black's still coming through a lot. So I thought originally I was going to have to just do 3 coats of this, but I think it's going to be probably 4 or 5, so we'll see how we get on. Alright, so we're getting there with the second coat, but there's still a lot of the wood grain that you can see through the second coat, which I wasn't expecting. I mean, I didn't want to do a white kind of base coat because I do want to be able to see some of the wood when I do sand it down, but it is still, as you can see, not covering it really at all. So yeah, as I suspected, I think we're going to end up with 5, maybe even 6 coats before I get a proper coverage. So we're 4 coats in, and as you can see, it's taking on a lovely gold colour, but where I've gone down to the bare wood, it's still showing the grain, which is annoying, so probably going to be another 4 coats. Okay, so here we are. Oh crikey, it's got to be about 8 weeks later, and the paint is definitely cured and ready for sanding. So I'm going to work my way up the sanding sheet. So I'm going to start at 1000, then 1500, 2000, 2500, and then finally I'll be using a polishing compound as well on this. Now what you need to understand about this is that I am doing a relic job, so this is not going to be the smoothest finish that I'm looking for, and these areas here I'm actually going to start with 120 grit to remove some of the gold paint from here to reveal the wood. So that's the first step before I get to the polishing. Okay, so here's how it looks after taking some of that off using the 120 grit. So I'm quite happy with that. I mean, I think it'll be a long time doing the polishing and the sanding to get it to something that looks decent, but hopefully the areas where I haven't done the 120 grit like here will polish up really nice. So yeah, I think that's pretty good kind of relic job. Let's carry on with the finer grades. And here it is after the 1000 and 1500 grits. As you can see, more of the wood is coming through, so it's relicking even more gradually, which is nice, and the smaller scratches from the 120 grit are starting to fade, so I'm starting to get a little bit of shine, although much more on the back than on the front, which you'd expect with an older guitar anyway. But yeah, so far so good. Let's do the 2000 and the 2500. Okay, so after the 2000 and 2500, it's looking thoroughly beaten up. I've definitely made the mistake of using water, and you can see that it's actually ended up getting into the holes here and is swelling the wood. So I'm going to leave it to dry out in the sun for a while and see what that does. It might create an even more kind of busted up finish, which I don't mind, seeing as it's a relic job, but yeah, that was a stupid thing to do in hindsight. I just thought that it would give it a better finish using the water, but yep, stupid. So I'm using this resin super wax, which is what I used on my previous projects, and I know that it works. So let's give it a few coats of that. Okay, I'll be honest, I was starting to get a bit of a twitchy bum there because I didn't think that was going to work out, but as you can see, I've got this nice mirror shine on it now, in places that I wanted it to have a mirror shine, which is good. It just needs to clean up. I've used the wax, and the cloth is absolutely filthy. I think the dirt and grime and black paint is coming out of the wood grain, so it's making it filthy. So I do need to give it a clean up and a wipe down, so it's not quite at the point where it's completely finished, but yeah, I think that was pretty good, pretty convincing relic job of the gold over the black.
Okay, so here it is, the final result, and I am really pleased with how it's turned out. It was a really interesting experiment for me. I've ended up with some really nice parts where it's got that kind of mirror finish, but I've also got some parts that look really kind of broken in and just degraded over time, which is nice. There's some areas that if I were to do it again that I'm not particularly keen on. Like around the edges here, they don't seem particularly authentic to me in terms of how a guitar would wear over time, but in general I quite like the look of this. Now this is not the end of this project, far from it. What I am intending on doing over the coming months is I'm actually going to completely redo the electrics, so there'll be a video on that. I'm also going to experiment with putting in a switch that allows me to access lots of different drive circuits, so essentially building a pedal inside the guitar. So that'll be an interesting one to look out for in the next month or two. Please pop in the comments what you thought to the finished results and my mistakes along the way. Pop in the comments if you've done this yourself, or if you've had a go, or indeed if it was just kind of useful to see it happening step by step. Thanks ever so much for coming along on the journey, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.